Hey guys, here we are at part 4 of the story where Naruto is Jinchuriki of 9 tails as well as he is heir of Sage of 6 paths as well Minato Namikaze. We will see as Naruto takes on Shinobi world by storm. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe button. Now, let's jump right in. Fire Country, Konoha Hospital. The mission was a failure. It turns out that Uchiha Sasuke and Harunosuke had betrayed them all. They had abandoned Konoha and with the help of the Sound 5 managed to escape into Sound Country. With the aid of the team from Suna, the Sound 5 were all eliminated aside from the one that was captured, Tuya. Tsunade had healed Lee's wounds and he had aided the squad leader Shikamaru during his battle with the leader of the Sound 5, Kaguya Kimimaro. While Lee faced the bone-wielding Otonin, Shikamaru headed off after Sasuke and Sakura to the Valley of the End. When he got there however, things didn't exactly go as planned. Sasuke explained that he only wanted power and wounded Shikamaru with Chidori. Truthfully, if it were not for the quick thinking of Inara, then the attack would have most likely killed him there and then. Naruto may have survived it and perhaps Gaara and Yugito might have also, but a normal human wouldn't have been able to. It was a good job as was only a glancing hit. The two traitors escaped into Sound Country and Shikamaru knew he couldn't do anything about it. He passed out just as the medics arrived and attended to him before bringing him back to Konoha. He had surprisingly sustained the least damage during the mission of all the members on the team. He was released soon after and had gone to check on the others that were in the hospital also. Choji and Neji had the most injuries because of the physical wounds, both external and internal. Yugito was close behind, having practically had her skin burned away and her chakra network having been pushed to the extreme. Kiba was bedridden like the others, but his wounds weren't life-threatening and they said he could leave in a few days. There was nothing you could have done, Kakashi said as he appeared beside the young Nara. If it were Naruto that was leading the team then we wouldn't have failed and none of us would be injured, Shikamaru countered, knowing how far his friend would go to keep them all alive. Well, you're not Naruto, you're you, and this time you were thrust into a situation out of your control. As for the mission, they were my students. If anyone is to be blamed for their leaving it would be me. I am the one who trained them after all, Kakashi told him. Shikamaru shook his head at that. Perhaps it's not anyone's fault this happened, they wanted to leave, and they did. Yes, and now I have to write up a Nukenin form for them both. The Hokage turned and headed towards the security section of the hospital, where the prisoner was located. Yugito groaned as her eyes fluttered open, the effort alone caused her to wince. The light shone through the window which made her ask why it was even there. I mean, what's the point in it other than to make its patients miserable? She shifted slightly and sat up with great effort, sending painful jolts throughout her arms. I hate hospitals, oh the irony. Why did you choose to become a medic, Nyan? Tsunade asked from the chair to the side. It was a good idea at the time, Yugito groaned and painfully turned over to face her. How long was I out? 3 days, the Katsuyu Senin answered. You gave me quite the scare for a while there. It's a good job you have the Nibi inside you or you would be dead right now. Oh, well, what happened exactly? I remember fighting that Uzumaki and then everything went blank. Where is she? Yugito asked as she painfully sat back up. So you already know, it was a statement not a question. We just ran a DNA check on her, she's definitely an Uzumaki but we weren't able to find a name. Any idea where she came from? She can't be from Whirlpool Country, Kyuubi would have attacked when she was a baby or something, the Kumo Chunin asked. Tsunade nodded at that. Jiraiya and I checked Whirlpool Country several times over. There was no one left when it was destroyed, and even if there was, you just can't leave Whirlpool Country, at least not by regular means. Hell, the only way in or out is to either reverse summoning or walking the whole way. Ships can't get anywhere near it because of the large number of whirlpools in the area. They're so strong they can destroy a freighter in a matter of minutes. So if she's not from Whirlpool Country then where is she from? Yugito asked with a frown. Tsunade took a few seconds before responding. You already know, she's Kushina-sama's daughter, isn't she? Yugito asked with a sigh. Tsunade nodded. Yes, she is. So that makes her Naruto's sister, as well as the Yondaime Hokage's daughter, Yugito mused, surprising the Sannin. Please don't insult my intelligence, Shisho, all Uzumakis have red hair. Naruto doesn't, Tsunade sighed, clearly feeling her age for once. That leaves a question though, how the hell was she born when I know for a fact that Minato and Kushina only had one child? Tsunade asked the one question she wasn't able to answer. Yugito looked over at her. I think a better question is how did she end up in Orochimaru's forces? We're just going to have to ask her. Let me fucking go now, Tuya shouted as the Anbu forcefully restrained her. Kakashi stood in front of her bed with his arms crossed. I said, let me go. You're in no position to demand anything, the Hokage shot back as the Anbu tied her to the bed so she couldn't escape. He motioned for the Anbu to leave. Hawk, Cat, you're both dismissed. What are you going to do to me? Couldn't you have just killed me outright? Why did you have to prolong my suffering? The redhead asked with a faltering glare. I didn't have you executed because I need information that only you have, Kakashi began. I want to know where you came from. Whirlpool Country was destroyed years ago and there hasn't been an active Rinnegan besides Jiraiya-sama's 2 students. The Rinnegan is considered a random mutation which only appears once every 5 generations for an Uzumaki outside of the royal family, and even then it always dies out eventually. Only the royal family has ever been able to sustain it, and I've had my people do a DNA match for you. Your DNA matches with Uzumaki Kushina and Namikaze Minato. 2 very important figures to Konoha and to me, he continued. Knock knock. Enter, Kakashi said, not taking his eyes off of the redhead. An obviously injured Yugito entered a moment later with Tsunade. Alright, on time. What is she doing here? Tuya spat as she saw the blonde girl she had been fighting. She's here because I want her here, Kakashi said plainly. He turned to the redhead and continued. Now why don't you tell me where you came from and we'll continue from there, okay? Why should I tell you anything? Tuya shot back. Because it's either that or I turn you over to Ibiki and let him play with you. Enko might even join in. Now Tuya may not have heard of Ibiki, but she sure as hell knew about Enko. You didn't last long as an Otonin without learning of the heavy Sennin's old apprentice. Alright, I'll talk, jackass, Tuya muttered the last part bitterly. My name is Uzumaki Tuya and yes, I admit I have the Rinnegan. As for where I come from, I don't know, okay? The pedophile found me during a raid on Iwagakure no Sato 7 years ago, she explained. Unknown to her, Kakashi's Sharingan was focusing in through his Hitai and could tell she wasn't lying. I see, Iwa you say? He questioned. Tuya responded mockingly, yes I say. The Hokage sighed at the answer. Iwa huh? I can't believe you lied to me, Minato-sensei. True, we had just finished fighting a war with them, but still, you should have told me. He turned to her again and asked, how old are you? 14. Why? What's that got to do with anything? Tuya's voice almost sounded insulted. Then I think I know how you ended up in Iwa, Kakashi said with a sigh. Tsunade shot him a curious glance. You know something, Kakashi? The Hokage nodded. After the 3rd grade Shinobi War, Kushina-sama was pregnant. This was before they married and he was still my sensei. How come I didn't hear any of this? Tsunade demanded. Kakashi shook his head at her. I only found out by accident and Minato-sensei told me that it was a miscarriage, so I didn't bring it up again. Well, I think this little brat is living proof that it wasn't a miscarriage, the Sannin said, gesturing to the bedridden girl. Kushina-sama was captured by Iwa after the war. She was missing for weeks before Minato-sensei found her and killed her captors. If she was going to give birth, it would have been then, Kakashi said, shaking his head. So what? They kept my mother alive just so that she could what? Give birth to me? Tuya demanded. Kakashi shook his head again. No. They most likely wanted to turn you into a living weapon to be used by Iwa. Imagine it, the Rinnegan alone makes you very valuable, but being Minato-sensei's daughter too? That's practically asking them to turn you into breeding stock. She felt like she was going to throw up at that. It would have been the ultimate form of vengeance upon Minato-sensei. Didn't go as planned, I bet, or she wouldn't have ended up with Orochimaru, Tsunade said as she leaned against the wall. So what went wrong? You mentioned Orochimaru raided them and got you. He had to have known you had the Rinnegan, so why didn't he use you as one of his bodies? Me? A body? You don't know him at all, do you? He may be sadistic and cruel, but he doesn't do anything without a reason too. He knew about the Rinnegan, but he didn't want it. He wants to learn every jutsu in the world. To do that he needs the Sharingan. A Rinnegan is useless to him if he can't copy jutsu, Tuya said bitterly. You don't like him, do you? You don't like him because he considers you to be second best, Yugito asked as she looked the redhead over. What was your first clue? The bastard does sick experiments on anything he can get his hands on. When he gave me the curse seal, it was to ensure my loyalty to him, Tuya grumbled the last part. Well, that's funny because your curse seal is gone. Tsunade spoke up upon hearing that last part. Tuya looked up at that, then checked her shoulder. How? The only time he destroys them is when the user is dead. Tsunade smirked at that. That's the thing. You were clinically dead when we brought you in. Why, you mean I'm free? The young Uzumaki hoped this wasn't some sick joke. From his influence, yes. Free from us though? Not a chance, Kakashi declared simply. From where I'm standing you have two options, you can either be locked up or you can become a Konoha on probation until I deem it time for you to become a full kunoichi of this village. Tuya along with the other two were surprised at the second option, while I would rather not be thrown in a cell. Nice to hear it. Kakashi's face instantly brightened with a creepy sunshine genjutsu behind him. As soon as you've recovered report to my office, he left a moment later with the two blondes in tow. What was that about? Tsunade demanded, looking back at the room. Konoha could always do with another Rinnegan, something tells me she will be a very powerful ally one day. I also owe it to Minato-sensei and Kushina-sama, Kakashi answered simply as he walked. You're playing a very dangerous game Hokage-sama, Tsunade warned him. A game I intend to win Tsunade Dono, was his response. Win country, sets in a city ruins. Is this it? The young blonde asked as he looked over the decaying ruins of the largest city in the elemental countries. The old senin beside him nodded at his side, yes it is. It'll do, when do we start? The blonde chunin asked. The Gamma senin was already ahead of him, let's find a place to stay first and set up camp. Once we do that we'll start on what I have planned, this isn't going to be a walk in the park for you, Namikaze Naruto. Fire country, Konoha main gates. The village hidden in the leaves was a village of peace despite being a military fortress to the outside world. Being a ninja village meant it had a lot of blood on its hands and was considered by many to be the most powerful of them all. In the 3 years since the Tsunohara joint attack all the damage to the village had been repaired and it was prospering again. Things had been quiet lately, the rest of the Konoha 10 were now chunin or higher. Hugin for example was a full jonin and had been considered the best out of the small group. Man he is in for a wake-up call. At the front gates a pair of very familiar figures were entering the village. One was a man in his mid-50s dressed in red with white gray hair. The guards on duty immediately recognized this man as Jiraiya of the Sannin, a living legend if there ever was one. The second person however was a young 15-year-old blonde man wearing a red trench coat with black flames covering the bottom of it. Under it was a black-orange jumpsuit and he had 6 distinct whisker-like marks on his cheeks. Naturally the guards recognized him as Uzumaki Naruto, Jinchuriki of the Kyubi no Kitsune, successor of the Rikudo Sennin, living legacy of the Yondaime Hokage and student of the Gamma Sennin Jiraiya. That's quite a resume for a kid who graduated last in his class. He paid them no heed as he passed, too consumed with excitement at finally being home again. However, the excitement he felt was more towards finally meeting the one person in all of the elemental countries that he wished to see again. Not wasting any time, he jumped high and landed on top of a large post overlooking the village. Jiraiya smirked as he watched his student, the image of the boy's father overlaying his form. "Hello Konoha!" The blonde maelstrom yelled happily with his arms out. "Home is where the heart is Haura Sennin?" Jiraiya snorted and leaned against the post, "Sure it is. Why do you think I'm on the road all of the time?" Naruto chuckled at that. "Because you're searching for inspiration for your books." "How true," a voice said from the building behind him. Naruto turned to see Kakashi sitting on the balcony reading an Icha book. "Long time no see Naruto. You've grown up I see, it's good to see you again." "You too Hokage-sensei," Naruto said a little too cheerfully as he jumped over. "Please don't call me that," Kakashi groaned upon hearing the nickname. "You haven't changed at all," Naruto said as he landed on the balcony. "Oh, I almost forgot, I got something to give you." He pulled out an orange book which Kakashi instantly recognized. "And Naruto how did you for someone to bring the Hokage down to a collection of barely coherent words in a matter of seconds is a feat in and of itself. It's the latest in the series and the first in 3 years. I thought you'd like it even though I think it's boring, I could have done better," the blonde told him. "It's so beautiful." Tears were running down Kakashi's face as he cradled the book in his hands. Naruto just chuckled, "Now, I could do with some ramen." He jumped down a moment later and started towards his favorite ramen stand. Kakashi dropped down beside Jiraiya and they made to follow. "How good is he?" The question was simple. "Good enough to face you on even ground in an all-out fight," the Gamma Sennin answered. "It was the best I could do in only 3 years, unlike with Minato who I trained for 6 years. "Leadership skills?" the Hokage asked as they walked. "He knows when to joke around and when to be serious," Jiraiya told him. "Holy!" Naruto exclaimed as he turned a corner. There, standing in the middle of the street beside Senju Tsunade and a red-haired girl he didn't know was Niyugito. The Kumonin turned and stuttered upon seeing him, "And Naruto? Wow," was all he said as he gave her a once-over. She was taller and still wore cloths similar to the ones she wore 3 years ago, but they were more purple now than black. She'd definitely grown judging by her looks too. Naruto had to beat down his perverted side just to stop himself from having a nosebleed. Jiraiya was able to hold up a lot better since Tsunade went through the same thing. "You've grown," Yugito said, breaking the silence. "So have you, more beautiful I mean," Naruto corrected himself. "And you're a charmer now too, idiot," Yugito said with a smirk. Naruto gave a mock cringe. "Did you miss me?" With every jutsu so far, she shot back. "You wound me so," Naruto gave a mock look of hurt as he placed his hand on his chest. "So you're Uzumaki Naruto?" the redhead asked, getting his attention. "Somehow I was expecting something more than a shithead," she scoffed. Naruto frowned at her. "Actually it's Namikaze Naruto now, and who the hell are you exactly?" "I'm, well, a friend of this bitch here," she said, gesturing to Yugito. "Don't mind her, she's just being herself," Yugito waved the comment off. "If you say so," Naruto shrugged at that. Enough with the emotional reunion, Tsunade sighed from the side. Kakashi closed his book at that and caught their attention. "Alright Naruto. I'm putting you through the Jonin exam today, as in right now. From here on out, playtime's over." Naruto nodded before asking, "Where are Sasuke and Sakura?" "I would have thought I'd have run into them by now," Naruto asked. Yugito didn't know how to answer. Naruto? I think there's something you should know about that." Fire Country, Konoha Training Ground. The Kakashi and Naruto arrived at the training field later that day, the Hokage having a pair of bells attached to his waist as they entered. They made their way to the clearing in the center where 3 wooden posts stood in the center. "The rules are the same as before, you can use whatever tactics you want in order to get the bells from me. You have until sunrise tomorrow," Kakashi said as his former student approached the posts. "This place, it brings back memories. I can't believe that Sasuke and Sakura would turn traitor," Naruto said, shaking his head. Kakashi sighed at the memory of his other former students. "I didn't want to believe it either. But they did, just ask Shikamaru." Naruto turned to him, "When I see them again I'll make them pay for betraying us." Kakashi snapped his book closed. "There is no need in thinking about that right now. Let's begin, shall we?" Naruto grinned and tightened his hit eye on his head. "You won't be able to read your book this time, Hokage-sensei." Kakashi smirked and lifted his hit eye to reveal his Sharingan. "I get the feeling that this is going to take more effort than last time." "You're right," Naruto exploded from the ground with his signature attack in hand. "Rasengan," he called out as he hit Kakashi right in the chest. Kakashi however exploded into smoke, signifying it was a shadow clone. "Trying to end it early?" the Hokage asked from behind him. Naruto looked over his shoulder and saw his former sensei ready to plunge a kunai into his stomach. "I didn't say start yet." Naruto just grinned. "You didn't say I couldn't start yet either." Another Naruto had somehow appeared behind Kakashi. "Your move, Hokage-sensei." Kakashi took notice of the clone behind him. "You've improved." He disappeared in a poof of smoke and Naruto dismissed his clone also. Come out wherever you are." The area was silent as the blonde looked around cautiously. "You're not left. You're not right, you're not above, so that leaves below." He slammed his hand into the ground. "Doten, Doryukatsu." The ground erupted upwards for a moment before slitting in two, revealing a surprised Kakashi in the center. "You can't escape my eyes, sensei." Kakashi smiled under his mask. "You've grown quite well, Naruto, now I don't have to hold back." He disappeared in a burst of speed and reappeared above the blonde. "Reikiri." Naruto's eyes widened and he disappeared in a flash of yellow, Shunpo no Jutsu. Naruto skidded a few feet away as Kakashi touched down on where he had been standing moments ago. "That was a little too close." "That wasn't Hiraishin no Jutsu you just used," Kakashi commented with his Sharingan spinning. "It's something I've been working on since my fight with Gaara." Naruto shrugged as his eyes flashed gray for a moment. "Yes, but I can already see its weakness. It all depends on how fast your opponent can react," Kakashi stated. Naruto didn't respond to that. "Tajukage Bunshin no Jutsu." Hundreds of shadow clones appeared around them and charged. Kakashi saw them coming however and reacted the way he normally did when outnumbered. He outmaneuvered them and seemingly effortlessly destroyed them using nothing but taijutsu. It took 27 minutes to eliminate them all and he never took his eye off of the original Naruto. Kakashi jumped high onto one of the branches and looked down at the blonde who stood amongst what was left of his clones. Once he was in position, Naruto executed his plan. He formed a set of hand seals and attacked. It was one of the 2 most powerful wind jutsus in his arsenal, which he learned when they were in Wind Country 2 years ago. This plan he created wasn't meant to hurt his opponents, it was meant to stop them in their tracks. "Futon," Kazuryudan no Jutsu, Naruto whispered as he launched his attack. At first Kakashi thought it was the Kyuubi, but when he turned he was met with the sight of a large dragon made of wind barreling at him. The Hokage was obviously surprised at that attack and narrowly evaded as the dragon crashed through the forest, blowing away trees and forcing Kakashi back to the woods, followed by Naruto jumping high into the air and launching his next attack. Futon, Rinnegan. An Oni jutsu designed by the Ichibi no Tanuki, Suna no Shukaku, which could be used by humans. Sadly most weren't able to use it effectively because of the chakra requirements. In fact Jiraiya was only able to use it once a week because it drained all of his chakra with a single usage. Because of the Kyuubi, Naruto didn't have that problem however. Kakashi disappeared into the ground just before it impacted Doton, Moguregakure no Jutsu. There was an echoing explosion as trees and dirt was blown away under Naruto's seemingly endless onslaught. After the dust settled, Naruto stood in the center of the small crater he had created and was using his Rinnegan to track Kakashi underground. Just then Kakashi exploded from the ground behind him with a fist covered in lightning. "Reikiri!" he called out as he made to stab the blonde. Naruto knew he couldn't dodge this time, so he fell back on his defenses. Shinra Tensei. The blast of gravity flung Kakashi back into the trees again, but he recovered quickly and stood up straight once again. "Your reaction time with the Rinnegan has gotten better. Your use of different elemental jutsu also shows how much you've improved. I'll even go as far as to say I underestimated you, but you still haven't got a bell yet." Having been around Jiraiya the Sannin for 3 years, Naruto was no stranger to mind games, so he knew when to shrug off what his opponent was saying. Even so, he knew he was reaching his limit. He'd been using nothing but high-level jutsus since this fight started and knew that the large amount of shadow clones he had created earlier had used up a good portion of his chakra reserves. He would need to end this soon or he would lose, and they both knew it. The only other option he had was to retreat and wait for his reserves to regenerate, but knew Kakashi would just follow him wherever he went. Just then he and Kakashi locked eyes and suddenly the world around him disappeared, only to be replaced by Kyuubi rampaging through what looked like Konoha. Naruto placed his hands in a seal, expelled a large blast of chakra, Kai. The genjutsu shattered and Naruto saw that his surroundings had returned to normal. "You've broke out of my genjutsu, that's good, but we both know that Itachi is better," Kakashi stated. "Well then let's try this." He suddenly shot a dog made of lightning towards the blonde. It dissipated. The moment it touched Naruto, "I see you've been able to make your jutsu automatic now, so you don't have to consciously control it all the time." Naruto raised his hand and whispered, "Banshu Tenin." Kakashi was suddenly being pulled towards Naruto, who now held out another spiraling sphere of chakra, Rasengan. The moment his attack hit, Kakashi phased out of existence and turned into sparks of lightning. The electricity that was released shocked every nerve in Naruto's body, causing him to fall to his knees as the real Kakashi moved in to finish the job. The moment he was within range, however, 4 seals quickly activated on the ground around the Hokage, forcing him to stop. "A Fubakuhojin, huh? Using your own body as bait and then luring me into this? A very effective trap if a bit reckless," Kakashi mused as one of Naruto's clones appeared and pulled the real Naruto away from him. "This won't hold me for long, Naruto, you know that." "It doesn't have to," Naruto grunted and pain held up his hand. "Banshu Tenin." The bells were suddenly pulled away from Kakashi and into Naruto's hand. "It doesn't matter if you can beat me, sensei, I still win by default." Kakashi chuckled at that and clicked his fingers. The seals around him were destroyed and he walked over to the blonde. "Congratulations, Naruto, you just made Jonin. You parents would be proud." Naruto gave out a sigh of relief. "Don't worry about the jutsu I hit you with, it will wear off in a little while." Fire Country, Konoha Marketplace. "You know, shithead, I had pegged you out as having more guts than brains, but to use your own body as bait? That really takes the cake. What the hell were you thinking?" Tuya asked Ashi. Yugito and Naruto made their way through the village. Naruto just shrugged. It seemed like a good idea at the time. Yugito sighed at that. "You're still a reckless idiot." "Oh man, I'm starving. Come on, let's get some Ichiraku ramen," Naruto groaned. "Does that mean you're paying?" Yugito asked him as they walked. Naruto looked over his shoulder. "Well, I do have some money on me, but it might be a little close." "Define a little," Yugito said with narrowed eyes. Fortunately he was interrupted when a pair of familiar ninja appeared through the crowd. "Oh hey, it's Shikamaru and Temari. Hey you two, over here. Look at who decided to show up at the front gates this morning." "Naruto?" Shikamaru asked in surprise. "Hey Shikamaru, are you two on a date or something?" Naruto asked as he looked between him and the Sunanin beside him. Shikamaru shook his head. "Not even close." "Oh please, like I would ever." It's almost time for the Chunin exams again, and since I'm the Suna ambassador I'm being forced to attend. This lazy bum is supposed to be my escort, Tamari explained. Chunin exams, huh? I just finished my Jonin exam this morning. I take it everyone else are Chunin now? Naruto asked. Mostly though Neji, Lee, Yugito, Kankuro, this lady here and I are all Jonin now, the Nari explained. What about Gaara? Naruto asked them. He's the Kaze Kage now, Tamari was the one who answered. Damn, he beat me to it. Oh well, I'll get there eventually, Naruto sighed at the information. So you understand what I'm asking of you? Kakashi asked as he leaned back in his chair. The Hokage's office hadn't changed much except for the atmosphere in the room. I understand, Hokage-sama, the Anbu standing in front of him responded. Then hand in your mask. While you are on the team your codename will be Yamato, Kakashi told him. The Anbu removed his mask and placed it on the desk. Yamato, an interesting name. Knock knock. Come in, Kakashi called and the door opened. Naruto, Yugito and Tuya entered a moment later. You're late. Sorry, there was a black cat in the street so we had to take the long way around, Naruto said simply. Kakashi smiled at that with some kind of sunshine genjutsu behind him. Also, you finally met Sakuya-chan. Naruto blinked, that was its name? Tuya groaned as she watched the exchange. They're a pair of idiots. You've left me with quite a job this time, senpai, Yamato sighed. Yugito didn't comment, having already gotten used to them both. Anyway, back to business, Kakashi coughed. With Sasuke and Sakura no longer with us, I am assigning Yamato here and Tuya to Team Naruto under your command, Naruto. Naruto nodded in understanding. Have you got a mission for us? Kakashi was about to speak when a commotion outside of the door drew his attention. A moment later the door burst open to reveal a slightly exhausted decoder nin, Yurika. God, I'm Sama. Terrible news, we just received word that the Kaze Kage has been kidnapped by Akatsuki, Yurika explained, surprising the group. Team Naruto, I believe you have your first mission. Head to Suna. Assess the situation and report back to me. Then assist in the recovery of the Kaze Kage, Kakashi ordered. Yes sir. 10 minutes later at the main gates, Team Naruto were ready to head out with Tsunade, Kakashi and Iruka there to see them off. Good luck, Iruka told them. Thanks, Naruto said as he turned away. Try to keep them in line, Yugito-chan, Tsunade said to her apprentice. I'll try, Yugito responded. Come on, let's go already, Tuya said impatiently. Just then a white and red blur dropped down in front of them. Hey Naruto, are you going on a mission? Jiraiya asked. Yeah, we're heading out to Suna now, Naruto explained. Ah, so you already know about the Kaze Kage, Jiraiya stated. He turned to Kakashi, is it wise to send these two? Kakashi took a moment to respond, maybe not, but I'm confident that they'll be fine. If you say so, Jiraiya sighed and motioned for Naruto to follow him. Come over here for a second, Naruto. The blonde did as told and they walked a few feet away, out of eavesdropping range. Don't push your luck when it comes to Akatsuki, they aren't to be taken lightly, and please do not use the jutsu. You remember what happened last time, right? Naruto sighed and nodded. I know, Uro-sennin, you don't have to remind me. I was in a hospital bed for a week after it, I won't use it unless I have to. Jiraiya sighed, I suppose that's the best I'm going to get, good luck. Thanks for everything, Jiraiya-sensei, Naruto said and turned away, for once saying his real title. Let's go, he said, and the team took off into the trees. After traveling for about 30 minutes they came across a figure walking through the forest. Hey, it's Tamari, Yugito said, and the team dropped down beside the Sunaku no Ichi. Huh? Tamari turned to them in surprise. What are you four doing out here? It's a long story. Wind Country, Suna main entrance. The team plus Tamari dashed across the dunes at inhuman speeds, trailing dust and sand behind them. It had taken them 3 days to reach Suna and they were only now just arriving. They arrived at the village a few minutes later and were approached by a slightly panicking Suna Jonin. Tamari-sama, you've returned. Please right this way, the Suna Jonin said frantically. She led them through the village towards the hospital while explaining the situation. Kaze Kage-sama was kidnapped, as I'm sure you're aware, but Kankuro-sama chased after them and has been poisoned. Kankuro too? Tamari asked, horrified that her two brothers had been beaten so badly. How long does he have? About a day at the most, the Suna Jonin answered. Let me see him, I might be able to help, Yugito said, taking a step forward. They made their way to the room where Kankuro was being held and quickly approached the bed. The room was filled with doctors and several elders who seemed surprised at their arrival. An elder woman spotted Yugito and immediately lunged right at her. Naruto appeared between them however in a flash of yellow light and knocked her back as Yugito regained her footing. "It's been a while, slug woman," the elder woman said. Another elder held up his hand. "Look closely, sister. Despite her looks, she is not Tsunade-san." The woman focused for a moment before laughing it off. "Oh, I see. Sorry my dear, you just look so much like that slug woman I mistook you for her." Yugito shook her head and turned to Kankuro. "Whatever." Naruto sighed and turned to Yugito who was now working on Kankuro. "How is he?" Yugito used her medical ninjutsu to extract what looked like a blob of dark substance from the Sunanin's chest and sealed it in a small container a moment her. "He's not out of the woods yet but I have extracted the poison. I still need to get rid of the remaining toxins in his system," Yugito explained as she placed the container down on the table to the side. "Can one of the other medic nins do it? We're on timer here," Naruto asked her. Yugito nodded. "The only thing people need is the supplies and the right formula. Let me write it down and we can go." "How do we track these freaks?" Tuya asked from the side. "That's simple," Naruto said as he placed a hand on Kankuro's head and closed his eyes. His eyes opened again to reveal the Rinnegan glowing as he concentrated. Akatsuki's general direction is towards the north. Seems like they may be using an old cave system to hide long enough to extract Shukaku. "How did you do that?" Yugito asked surprised. "All modern-day ninjutsu is descended from the teachings of the Rikudo Sennin and the Rinnegan. Where do you think the Yamanaka ability to read minds came from?" Naruto responded. "That's pretty hand," Tuya said with a frown. "Why don't I have that ability?" Tamari said one last thing before the team can leave. "Wait, I'm going with you." "No Tamari, I will be representing Suna during this escapade. You need to stay here and look after everything while we go search for Gaara." The old woman from before. "Besides it's been so long since I've taken care of my adorable grandchild." "Grandchild?" Naruto questioned. "Sasori of the Red Desert, it appears my grandson has joined these Akatsuki apostrophe. I want to meet him again," the woman explained. "You got a name old lady?" Tuya asked bluntly. "Call me Chio and do not call me old. To be young again," she muttered the last part. "But," Tamari said with clenched fists. "Naruto, Yugito, Tuya, please bring back Gaara." Naruto just waved it off. "Don't worry about it. I'm going to become the next Hokage, but for now I'll settle for the Kazekage owing me a favor. Let's move out," Naruto ordered and the team plus Chio made their way out of the village and towards the mountains to the north of the desert. "Everyone stop now," Naruto ordered and the team entered a large clearing. A shadowy figure stood a few meters away, staring at them. "Oh crap. Is that?" Yugito trailed off as she recognized him. "He's wearing an Akatsuki cloak. Who is this bastard?" Tuya asked as she looked the man over. "Those eyes." Chio mused when she saw the red tint in the man's eyes. "Uchiha Itachi," Naruto declared as his own eyes shifted into the form of the Rinnegan. "You've got a lot of nerve, showing yourself like this." "Naruto-kun, Yugito-chan, it's been a long time," Itachi's voice was harsh and seemingly uninterested. "Not long enough," Naruto shot back. "I'm here to take you both in, Naruto-kun," Itachi stated clearly. "You can try," Naruto shot back and the world around him suddenly exploded in smoke. It died a moment later to reveal his team on the ground unconscious. "What did you, Genjutsu, has to be. You cannot win Naruto-kun," Itachi said as his body turned into a collection of hawks. "Kai," Naruto expelled a blast of chakra but it was no use. "Damn, it didn't work, guess I'll have to go with my backup plan," Naruto muttered before taking out a kunai and stabbing himself in the leg. The illusion shattered around him and he pulled out the kunai as the wound healed. "Using self-inflicted harm to escape my Genjutsu? Interesting," Itachi mused. "If you like that then you're going to love this." Raiten, Rainami, two bolts of lightning shot out of the Kyuubi Jinchuriki's hands and sent Itachi crashing into the ground, dust blowing up behind him as he struck the surface. "I see you've got a few new tricks," Yugito smirked when the attack died down. "Everyone fall back into the trees," Naruto ordered the group and they jumped back into the trees. "Any advice on kicking this guy's ass, old hag?" Tuya asked. Chio snorted, "Just don't look into his eyes and you'll be fine. And don't call me an old hag." "Kaden, Gukaku no Jutsu." The large fireball came from above them. "Watch out!" Yugito warned and they broke apart. "Fujutsu Kyuin," Naruto said as the fireball seemed to dissolve when it touched his hands. "So it appears you've mastered the ability to absorb ninjutsu also, impressive considering your age," Itachi commented as he came from the side and aimed a punch for Naruto's head. Shunpo no Jutsu. Naruto flash-stepped away in order to create some distance between them and formed a hand seal. Tajukage Bunshine no Jutsu. Dozens of shadow clones suddenly popped into existence around them. Itachi dispatched the first clone that came at him from the side, another dropped down from above and made to stab him with a kunai. Itachi fell back, evading the attack and knocked the clone away. 3 more clone came from below this time and knocked him skyward just as several other clones jumped to intercept him. Kaden, Gukaku no Jutsu. A large fireball exploded from Itachi's mouth and incinerated the shadow clones below, setting the forest on fire as well. Itachi then spun in midair and destroyed the remaining clones before finally landing on one of the tree branches. Most impressive Naruto-kun. Udama Rikyu. Itachi jumped away moments before a ball of lightning struck the branch he stood on. Yugito appeared to hover in place above them, using what looked like fire manipulation to remain airborne. Futon, Daitaba. The white blast of wind knocked down several trees and hurled a surprised Itachi back into the clearing. Naruto dropped down in front of him as he got back up. "We've got you outnumbered, Itachi, surrender." Itachi didn't reply and instead formed several hand seals. That was when Naruto felt a pull and looked down to see that his arms and legs were encased in thin metal wires. "Kaden, Karyuenden." Itachi called out as fire erupted down the wires in the shape of a dragon, causing Naruto's eyes to widen in surprise. "Shinra Tensei." The words were not spoken by him, but the flames were snuffed out just the same. He looked behind him to see Tuya standing there with a very familiar set of eyes. "You have the Rinnegan," Naruto said upon seeing it. He turned back to Itachi, whom was also surprised at this development. "We'll talk about this later." Tuya nodded just as Yugito dropped down behind the Uchiha and 2 of Naruto's clones appeared at his side. "Raiten, Reimu," Yugito exclaimed as she threw a spear of lightning straight through the Nuken's shoulder. Yugito dropped back with the others as Itachi's body was shocked until it was unable to move on its own. "Finish him." Naruto held out his hand to the 2 clones and they immediately started charging the jutsu he still has yet to perfect. Chakra spiraled in his hand, which was soon followed by the wind itself, creating a sickening bell-like screech. He shot forward and slammed the glowing white jutsu into the Uchiha's stomach. Itachi gave a smile as his world was consumed in light. Futon, Rasengan. Everyone covered their eyes as the countryside was reduced to a small crater. The dust soon cleared to reveal the crater and a disfigured person in the center of it. Naruto paid no heed to the looks he was getting from his team concerning his last jutsu and instead approached the body. Whoever it was not Itachi. That was too easy. Fire Country, Konoha Hokage Tower. "Where do we stand on this team?" Kakashi asked as he leaned back in his chair lazily with Jiraiya and Tsunade in front of him. "Naruto still needs a bit of work, nothing serious, well except Shinjutsu training. I couldn't fit it in the time we were given," Jiraiya sighed. "He's recreated some jutsu I think he got from the Rinnegan, and I have taught him a few jutsu for each element. I admit I was reluctant to teach him ninjutsu, but he needed help to control the Rinnegan. Unlike the Sharingan, the Rinnegan doesn't actually copy a jutsu if it sees one but instead allows its users to learn it." "I see. Anything else you would like to mention?" Kakashi asked after a pause. "He isn't able to control Kyuubi's chakra, yet. The Rikudo Sennin was the ancestor of the Uchiha and the Senju. 2 very powerful clans who were able to control the Kyuubi no Kitsune. Naruto is most likely the only man alive in the world right now who even has a ghost of a chance of actually controlling it. I have a feeling that Minato knew this as well," Jiraiya continued. "I've seen Naruto access Kyuubi's chakra before. He was able to remain on control before he left with you," Kakashi stated. Jiraiya nodded before continuing. "Minato split the Kyuubi's chakra into 2 halves. The yang half was sealed inside the containment seal with the Kyuubi's soul, and the seal on Naruto allows him to draw on its power. However, the yin half wasn't sealed in Naruto. I don't really know where the yin half of it is, but I assume it is a part of the ki itself. I'm not exactly sure why Minato split it, but I believe it has something to do with the ki." "What happened?" Tsunade was the one who asked, sensing tension in the air. "I used the ki to twist Naruto's seal so he could access more of Kyuubi's chakra, and I inadvertently released Kyuubi from its cell," Jiraiya explained, getting horrified looks from the other 2 occupants in the room. "Is Naruto okay? He seemed fine earlier, but if Kyuubi was released then he should be dead, not to mention if it is out then it'll probably come after Konoha again," Kakashi asked as he got to his feet. "Relax, Kyuubi's still trapped thanks to Naruto's will and his Rinnegan. He held it off long enough for me to close the opening in the seal that I made. That surprised the pair." "How? The Yamanaka couldn't even touch the thing?" Tsunade questioned. Jiraiya snorted. "Where do you think the Yamanaka's jutsu came from?" The Rinnegan, of course, those eyes of his allows him to read people's minds if he holds their head and makes it extremely hard for someone to invade his mind. But like I said earlier, he can't control the Kyuubi yet. The first time he tried using 4 tails worth of power, let's just say Setsuna City is looking a little different this summer. Jiraiya shivered when he spoke the last part. I thought Setsuna City was left in ruins during the clan wars. What were you doing there? Tsunade asked. Training Naruto, of course. The place was abandoned and seemed like a good idea for a training ground. That city is long gone now though, Jiraiya stated. Of course it's long gone. It was reduced to a bunch of ruins during the clan wars. Tsunade nodded as she spoke. Jiraiya just scoffed. I don't mean destroyed like leaving a pile of ruins. I mean gone as in the entire city is nothing more than a load of craters now. They fell into silence after that. How many tails can he use safely? Kakashi questioned. Jiraiya sighed and answered, 3. Though he refuses to use it in case his control slips and he gets knocked unconscious. As long as he remains conscious he can control it, but since the Kyuubi's chakra is acidic, it burns a lot. If it does enough damage to him, especially if it starts affecting his brain, then he will fall unconscious and the chakra will consume him. If that happens, then Kyuubi is able to take control and will attack everything that moves, friend and foe alike. Hopefully Yamato can keep an eye on that, Kakashi sighed. I wouldn't count on it. Naruto is the only one who can suppress the chakra. It's that simple, Jiraiya finished. We'll keep an eye on him, Kakashi declared and turned to the other Sannin in the room. Well, unlike Naruto, Yugi Ito's history over the last 2 years isn't that colorful. You should know some of it, Kakashi. You did help train her after all. She knows a few fire and lightning jutsus and her skill with medical ninjutsu is extraordinary, Tsunade stated almost smugly. Does that include your monster strength, Haim? Jiraiya quipped. She sent him a glare for that. For your information, no it doesn't. Because she is a Jinchuriki, her chakra is in a constant state of flux just like Naruto's is thanks to Kyuubi. She may surpass me in the medical field if she's given time, but she physically cannot use her medical ninjutsu for offensive purposes. What about the Nibi? Jiraiya asked her. Tsunade nodded with a reply. She can control it, somewhat. I wouldn't go near her when she's using it though. She knows what she's doing, but her attacks are very difficult to avoid when you are trying to assist her. Sounds like Naruto on a bad day, Jiraiya commented. What about the other member of the team? Kakashi asked after a moment of silence. If you mean that Uzumaki girl, then I'll tell you right now that is total bullshit. I'm having a pretty hard time coming to terms with the fact that she's the brat's sister. She may look like a carbon copy of Kushina-chan at that age and may even act like it, but the simple fact is that she was one of Orochimaru's personal guards. You know, the guards who helped kill Sarutobi-sensei? The only reason I haven't went to interrogate her personally is because of Minato and Kushina-chan, Jiraiya stated firmly. She's older than him, Jiraiya. She also activated the Rinnegan first. By law she is the first heir to the Whirlpool country's throne, Tsunade stated clearly. There is no Whirlpool country, it was destroyed, remember? No one survived, so for all intents and purposes she is nothing but a Konoha Chunin. If you think I'm overreacting, can you imagine what Naruto's going to do when he finds out he has a sister? Currently the entirety of the elemental countries consider Naruto as a highly dangerous A-rank shinobi of Konoha and the successor of the Rikudo Sennin himself. They have for years. They won't care about this Tuya girl with the Rinnegan because she will always be compared to him, Jiraiya explained. I am well aware of that. Tsunade nodded solemnly, knowing it was the truth. But Tuya is a resourceful one. She'll find a way to stand on her own somehow, just like her mother. Well, she has been training under Kurenai for the last 3 years, so she should be fine on the mission, Kakashi stated from his seat. Jiraiya frowned at that. Speaking of the mission, are you sending Team Guy to reinforce them? They could do with the help. Kakashi shook his head. They're needed at that border. Otto's getting bolder and attacking more of our convoys day after day. Most of the teams in the village that are not a part of the Chunin exam security are off training. The only team I have available at the moment for any mission involving Otto is Team Guy. They're on their own for the time being, Tsunade sighed in defeat. Wind Country, Northern Forest. Okay, what the fuck was that shit stain? Tuya shouted in shock and fear. It's something I've been working on, Naruto replied simply as the group made their way over to their fallen opponent. It's not finished though. Dad intended it to be a 6-stage process. The jutsu I just used was only stage 4, so I still have a long way to go. Not finished? It looked bitchin' to me, Tuya commented as they looked down at what was left of Itachi. Yugi Ito checked the body. I don't think this was Itachi, Naruto said, and the Kumonin nodded. I thought so too. That was too easy to be Itachi, Yugi-Ito said as she crouched down beside the disfigured body. You call that easy? Tuya questioned. Yugi-Ito nodded as her hands glowed green. 3 years ago we couldn't even touch him. I know we've gotten stronger, but there's no way we could have taken the real Itachi down like that in only a few minutes. Fireball jutsu was created by the Uchiha clan, there's no way that can be faked, Shio commented. How about this then? A voice asked as a blue blur appeared behind them. Keizuki. Yugi-Ito called out, her arm igniting in a fiery blaze as she turned. There was a loud clang as the jutsu connected massive sword the man wielded. The others jumped away as Yugi-Ito held her ground. Tuya was the first to react and raised her hand towards the two. By some invisible force, Yugi-Ito was pulled back towards the group, surprising the newcomer. Banshu Tenin, the redhead whispered as Yugi-Ito landed beside the team. So another Rinnegan user, huh? Kinda reminds me of Leader Sama now that I think about it, or at least without the coldness he displays, the blue figure said with a smirk. Hoshigaki Kisame, Yugi-Ito growled out, causing his grin to widen. That's me, he said, smiling like a shark. What leader? Naruto questioned. Leader Sama is the one who founded Akatsuki, of course, Kisame said with a shrug. He has the Rinnegan too, not that it matters right now, kid. The leader of Akatsuki has the Rinnegan? But that means he's an Uzumaki. How? Naruto thought before shaking himself. I'll worry about that later, right now we have more important things to do, like rescuing Gaara. Raiten, Ryudan no Jutsu. Yugi-Ito threw a punch at the swordsman despite the distance and a lightning dragon burst forth from her fist. Kisame grinned as it approached and jumped back to evade the attack. It struck where he had been standing moments ago and exploded in static and rock as he landed a few feet away. His grin widened when he made a hand seal and opened his mouth wide. Let's dance, little kitties. He cackled and water exploded from his mouth in a massive wave. Suiten, Bakasui Shoha. Water flooded the area, forcing group to jump onto the trees above in order to not get caught in it. Everyone be careful, we don't know where he'll appear, Naruto told the others. How right you are, kid, Kisame said, appearing behind them. The team turned quickly, but they simply weren't fast enough. Suro no Jutsu. Suddenly the water shot out from below and encased Naruto, Yugi-Ito and Yamato in balls of water. Kisame used his water clones to maintain the spheres as he turned his attention to the still free Tuya, whom had managed to escape and land a few feet away. Damn, he caught us, Naruto gritted his teeth as he felt his chakra slipping away with each passing moment. I can't concentrate enough to pull off a Shinra Tensei, and with the way this thing is destabilizing my chakra I can't do any other jutsu either. Yugi-Ito glared at the Kari Nukenin. There is a reason cats hate water. That Rinnegan surprised me, Red, but I'm no pushover. How about I cut off your legs? They could make a pretty nice meal. Kisame grinned as he shot forward and brought his sword down on Tuya's position. Tuya narrowly evaded the first strike and jumped away. Kisame was on her within seconds, however, and slashed at her again, but this time she was ready. She formed 3 hand seals that Naruto instantly recognized, and her fist was suddenly encased in lightning. Chidori. Tuya echoed as she drove the jutsu into monstrous sword. It took only a moment for Kisame to absorb the jutsu and force her away again. Did that thing just absorb my jutsu? To answer her question, the sword burped. I think you should take that as a yes, Kisame said, grinning. Naruto watched this happen and narrowed his eyes. She could have only learned that jutsu from Hokage-sensei. He must have thought her Rinnegan would make up for the weakness in the user's vision. I'll worry about that later though, I have a job to do right now. He closed his eyes and held out his hands to the wall of the water prison. Please let this work. The chakra suddenly started to drain from the water and into Naruto's body. Fujatsu Kyuin. Kisame turned surprised as the ball of water around the Naruto suddenly collapsed and the blonde stood once again. The swordsman sent an annoyed look when he went to free his team from their own prisons. He didn't let up on his assault, however, and landed a kick to Tuya's midsection. Before she could get far, however, the swordsman grabbed her ankle and threw her straight down into the water. Let's see how you like this. Kisame hoisted Samada onto his back and began making hand seals. He slammed his fist into the water and called out, Suiten, Gas Hokozame. Suddenly 5 sharks made out of water formed beneath the makeshift lake and swam towards where Tuya had fallen. Shinra Tensei. Tuya exploded from the water into the air and landed on the water once more. You're good but still a long way from Leader Sama's level, Kisame said as he shouldered his sword once again. Tuya made several hand seals and whispered, Megan, Narakumi no Jutsu. Kisame suddenly stopped as he found himself in a genjutsu but quickly shrugged it off. It was only a distraction however and bought the time Tuya needed to get off her next attack. Chidori! The redhead exclaimed as she drove her lightning-covered fist through the swordsman's chest and out the other end. Hey, not bad Red, not bad at all, Kisame grinned as he fell back and hit the water as it dissipated. The rest of the team appeared at her side a moment later and looked over the body. Kisame suddenly disappeared and revealed a battered and bruised Tsunajonin with a hole in his chest from Tuya's Chidori wound. It must be some kind of jutsu. Mukade retired years ago and I know he was completely loyal. There is no way someone like him would have joined my grandson willingly, Chio stated upon seeing the body. Come on, we're wasting time, Naruto said, and the group took off into the trees again. Wind Country, Northern Forest. They had set up camp later that night, thinking it wouldn't be a good idea to continue on at night. They were all exhausted from their earlier confrontation with Akatsuki and knew it was only a matter of time before they extracted Shukaku and killed Gaara. They needed rest if they were going to be able to save the teenage Kazekage before the deadline tomorrow afternoon. The campfire sparked slightly from the wood it burned and its flames rising slightly. Yamato and Chio had already fallen asleep while the rest of them were sitting quietly around the campfire. Are you going to tell me now? Naruto's voice cut through the silence. Tuya looked at him with veiled fear. What do you think, Shitstain? I think you're an Uzumaki, but I was told all of them died in Whirlpool Country. Now I find out that not only you have the Rinnegan but also the leader of Akatsuki has as well. What the hell am I supposed to think here? Naruto demanded. Well, I am an Uzumaki, but... Tuya trailed off, not knowing how to continue. But what? Naruto questioned. My parents were Namikaze Minato and Uzumaki Kushina. I'm kinda sure she was cut off. You're my sister? Bullshit, Naruto said simply. You're really expecting me to believe after all these years that I have a long-lost sister who's been Rikudo knows where now you come back? The two females were quieted at that. It's the truth, Naruto, Yugi-Ito told him, causing his head to snap towards her. Do not start with me, Yugi-Ito, I'm mad at you too. You should have told me the moment I got back, not waited until we're in the middle of an S-rank mission to throw this at me, Naruto shot back. Hey, lay off her, she didn't say anything because I asked her not to, Tuya explained, drawing his gaze back to her. I was captured by Orochimaru during a raid on Iwa after our parents died and I ended up in Konoha 3 years ago. Hokage offered me a job as a kunoichi of Konoha and I took it, so here I am. Naruto just stared at her for a good 10 seconds before standing up and walking away without a word. Don't take it too personally, Tuya, Yugi-Ito told the ex-Sato nin. He just needs time to come to terms with this, I'm sure he'll accept you in no time. He's a good guy and I've never known him hold a grudge before. I hope you're right. His mind was in turmoil. He had a sister, a living relative of close relation, one he didn't even know about until today. His first thoughts were of betrayal, then anger at being lied to, and finally landing on confusion. What was he supposed to do? They were strangers and yet they were family, then again that could be said about him and Tsunade as well. He wished Hirusenin was here, at least his godfather might have some useful advice for this bizarre situation he had found himself in. Then there was Yugi-Ito to consider. He didn't know what to think where she was concerned. He liked her, there was no denying that, but he knew he couldn't afford to grow attached to her. I mean, after what happened with Sasuke and Sakura, you couldn't exactly blame him. Those two traitors had a lot to answer for themselves. If there was one thing Naruto hated the most, it was traitors. Those who abandoned those close to them no matter the reason were not worth anything in his book, even if that reason was justified. Then there was Akatsuki to consider also. The leader of Akatsuki seemed to have the Rinnegan if what Kisame said could be believed. He couldn't be sure if the swordsman was telling the truth or not, but he had detected no hint of deception. If that was true, then Akatsuki was more of a threat than anyone had ever realized, himself included. Naruto shook himself in his futon. He had been getting off track again. For now his first priority was to rescue Gaara and return him to Suna-controlled territory while at the same time dealing with the Akatsuki agents assigned to capture the Ichibi. That's all there is to it. Wind Country, Northern Caves. The team dropped down from the trees and appeared in front of what looked like some kind of red arch. Beyond it was a cliff with a boulder blocking a tunnel, and on the boulder was a paper seal of some kind. Naruto recognized it easily. It looks like a Gofu Kekai. 1 second. He looked around with his Rinnegan activated. Okay, I can see chakra papers in 4 directions around us and 3 chakra cores beyond this boulder. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. 4 clones appeared at his side and each with a Rinnegan. I'm never going to get used to seeing in more than one direction at once, Naruto said as the clones took off into the trees. What are you planning on doing? Yugito asked him. Bringing down the barrier, Naruto replied and jumped up to where the seal on the boulder was located. He grabbed hold of it and waited for the clones to get into position. Once he saw the clones rip their own seals off, he did the same and the barrier fell a moment later. Naruto jumped down and formed several hand seals. Doton, Toryukatsu, Naruto whispered, and the boulder split apart to allow them entry. Well, that's one way to knock, Tuya quipped as they entered. You're a little late, we've been waiting 5 whole minutes, a voice said, annoyed. 3 figures were seen in the now illuminated cavern. The first was a blond man with mouths in his palms and wore the signature Akatsuki cloak. The second figure was a hunchback man who wore a mask over his face. The final figure was lying on the ground behind the pair. After a moment, Naruto spotted that the figure had red hair and assumed it was Gaara, though with the lighting in the cave being minimal it was difficult to tell. Gaara, Naruto whispered upon seeing the teenage Kazekage's unmoving form. The little runt was tough, but he still fell in the end. Now which of you are the Kyuubi and Nibi Jinchuriki? Deidara asked with a smile. Who do you think, assholes? Yugito shot back. Give Gaara back now, Naruto demanded. Deidara chuckled and turned to his partner. I know you don't want to hear this sorcery, but let me play with the Kyuubi Jinchuriki. No, I will face the Kyuubi Jinchuriki. You've already fought the Ichibi Jinchuriki, so you can have the Nibi this time, Sasori told him simply. Doton, Toryukatsu, Naruto slammed his palm into the ground and the earth split in two, separating the 2 Akatsuki members. Banshu Tenin, Tuya followed this up instantly and pulled Gaara towards her. She caught him a moment later as the Akatsuki agents recovered. I believe he told you to give the Sandmen back to us, you fuckers. That was very rude, Deidara commented in annoyance. Focus, Deidara, Sasori stated. Artisan explosion, the former Iwanin responded. Yamato, take Gaara and the old hag and get out of here. Head for Suna, hopefully they've sent someone to back us up, Naruto ordered. Good luck, Yamato nodded and dashed out of the cave with the unmoving form of Gaara in his arms and Chio close behind. You're going to pay for this, you bastards, Naruto stated clearly and cracked his neck. Yugito, Tuya, you two deal with the gender-confused weirdo over there while I deal with this doll-loving prick. Alone? Yugito asked him. Naruto nodded as his eyes flashed red. I won't be holding anything back. It's too cramped in here, I think I'll take my art outside, Deidara said as he created a dragon made of clay. He jumped on its back and it took off a moment later. It flew out of the cave entrance and arched away with Yugito and Tuya in pursuit. Come on, let's go after him, Tuya shouted, and they took to the trees. Back in the cave, Naruto and Sasori were staring each other down. It's just you and me now, Naruto said clearly. Sasori's cloak was cast off to reveal a massive scorpion-like puppet covering his body. What the fuck are you exactly? A puppet master, and this is my act. I call it Hiruko, Sasori replied and launched a volley of kunai from his scorpion mouth. With his Rinnegan flaring slightly, Naruto evaded the volley and rolled to the side. You're too slow, old-timer, Naruto quipped as he finished his hand seals. Futon, Kazuryudan no Jutsu. He threw out a punch and a dragon made of wind shot out from his fist. I see the tales of your power are accurate, Sasori commented and dodged the wind dragon as it impacted where he had stood moments ago. Interesting wind jutsu, but then I expected nothing less from a wielder of the Rinnegan. The leader of Akatsuki has the Rinnegan, doesn't he? It wasn't a question. Who is he exactly? Naruto asked him. I do not know, Sasori replied uninterested. And you work for him? Naruto asked him. Sasori appeared to shrug slightly in his puppet. Fine art is something wonderful that's left long into the future, eternal beauty. I'll remember that when I carve it into your tombstone, Naruto said as shot forward. Let's go wild. Sasori held up his left arm and the arm itself shot up towards the oncoming blonde. Naruto dodged it to the side at the last second and kept moving even as a wave of needles shot out of the mobile limb. Shinra Tensei, Naruto whispered and blew the needles away as he closed in on Sasori. I had forgotten about that gravity jutsu you Rinnegan users are capable of, Sasori said with a hint of irritation in his voice. A moment later he aligned his scorpion tail to pierce the blonde when he came within. My move. Kage Bunshai Nanjutsu, a shadow clone popped into existence beside Naruto and pulled him out of the way at the last second. The real Naruto was then able to sidestep the tail and attack directly. Rasengan. He called out as he brought down the ball of spinning chakra on his opponent. Sasori's eyes widened as his scorpion puppet was reduced to a pile of scrap, forcing him to jump out of it and land a few feet away. The real Sasori stood, wearing his Akatsuki cloak over his body, as watched the blonde Konoha Jonin kick away the remains of the puppet he had just destroyed. You know, when Chio back and said you were her grandson, I pictured you being older, around Hokage-sensei's age. But you barely look 16, Naruto commented as his clone vanished in a poof of smoke. Like I said before, fine art is something wonderful that's left long into the future, Sasori said, smiling slightly. Naruto narrowed his eyes at that. You're immortal? Maybe, the puppeteer responded vaguely. Let me show you my favorite puppet, he continued as he pulled out a scroll. This one was very hard to finish, but I managed. There was a poof of smoke as Sasori released the seal in the scroll and extracted the object it had stored away. But that's what makes me so fond of him. The smoke died down to reveal a vaguely human puppet wearing a black cloak. What the hell is that thing? Naruto asked upon seeing the puppet. Allow me to introduce you to my favorite puppet, the Namikaze Kage, Sasori answered as the puppet twirled around him. A human puppet? Naruto asked, horrified. Eternal beauty is something I strive to create, Sasori said simply. That's an abomination and I'll destroy it. Here and now, Naruto snarled. You can try, Sasori responded and sent the puppet forward to attack the blonde. Naruto jumped back and evaded the strike from the blades connected to the puppet's right arm. He cursed a moment later as the Sandaime descended from above and slashed downwards, forcing him to jump further back. Here goes, Sasori exclaimed as he brought the puppet's left arm up and the panels onto open to reveal seals on the inside. Senjusobu. Dozens of wooden arms erupted from the seals in a glow of blue chakra and shot towards the Kyuubi Jinchuriki. Damn it, Naruto cursed and shifted his weight to the side. Shunpo no Jutsu. He disappeared in a flash of yellow as the arms struck his previous location and he reappeared on the other side of the cave. You're fast, Sasori commented upon seeing the blonde's speed. But you cannot fool the eyes of a puppet master, we pay very close attention to detail. Judging by the slight movement you made before you executed your jutsu, I would hazard a guess that it is a one-way jutsu, making you unable to make any deviation in your intended course. Then once you came out of your jutsu you were forced to steady yourself slightly, indicating that your speed decreases rapidly at the end of transit, am I wrong? So you figured it out, give the guy a reward, Naruto shot back. Damn it, he won't fall for the same trick twice, I can't use that jutsu anymore or he'll just use it against me. Sasori smirked, shall we continue? What looked like a swarm of black sand erupted from the Sandaime's mouth and floated into the air beside the puppet. Allow me to show you the power that the Sandaime Kage wielded, which made him the strongest Kage, the Iron Sand. This does not look good for my life expectancy, Naruto thought upon seeing the black sand move about in the air. Satetsu Shigure, Sasori shouted as the Iron Sand shot towards the blonde in a shower of metal. Doten, Doryuki, Naruto exclaimed as he slammed his open hand on the ground beneath him. The ground in front of him rose up and created a wall between him and the oncoming hail of death. The Iron Sand slammed into the barrier repeatedly, but it held firm and protected the blonde from certain death. Insolent little child, Sasori grunted upon seeing his attack didn't have the effect he had desired. Is that the best you've got? Naruto shouted as he rested his back against the makeshift barrier. Satetsu Keshu, the puppeteer whispered, and the Iron Sand collected itself in midair to form a pair of objects. The first was a large hammer and the other was an equally large spear. Kyodai Tetsui. Oh crap, Naruto muttered and shot out of cover just as the barrier was knocked down by the hammer. Kyodaizo. Damn it, damn it, damn it, Naruto repeated as he rolled to the side, narrowly evading the large spear which lanced out at him. The Iron Sand suddenly backed off and was brought together near the ceiling. Now what? Prepare to die, Sasori said simply. Sorry, I'm not interested, Naruto told him and made a hand seal. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, two clones popped into existence beside him. He held out his hand towards the pair and they immediately started charging his next jutsu. The distinctive sound of explosions was heard as chakra and fire came together to form a quick spinning sphere in the palm of the blonde's open hand. He held it up towards the gathering of Iron Sand and it shot outward at high speeds. Kaden, Razenden. The fireball impacted the Iron Sand with a resounding bang before it exploded in a blast of heat and fire. The ceiling was blown away and the Iron Sand disintegrated a moment later. Sasori sent the blonde a glare once it was over and Naruto sent him a smirk in response. You shouldn't play with fire, you'll get burned, Naruto told him. A minor setback, I can always create more Iron Sand, Sasori told him. Naruto's smirk widened into a grin. Don't you need the Sandaime Kage for that? Sasori's eyes widened as he turned his attention to his favorite puppet. No. Rasengan gone, Another Naruto struck from above with a pair of spiraling spheres which destroyed the puppet and sent its remains clattering to the rubble-covered ground. "You," Sasori said with venom lacing his voice as the Naruto that he had first thought was real puffed out of existence. "You really thought I was going to let you get off another jutsu?" Naruto taunted. Sasori grunted at that. "You're quite the odd one, Kyuubi Jinchuriki." "Fine. I haven't been forced to solve a problem this way since I first joined Akatsuki. I wonder how long it's been." The Akatsuki member shed his cloak, revealing that his body definitely wasn't human any longer. "You turned your own body into a puppet?" Naruto asked when he saw the mix of wood, plastic and metal that was Sasori's body. "It's been a while since I last used myself," the red-headed Akatsuki member stated. That's it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and follow me on my other social media accounts. Anime God here, and I'm signing off.